Alright, hello and welcome to episode 28 of Hunter x Hunter. So last episode we started the Heavens Arena. Gon and Killua had fought their way up to the 200s, and they were making their way towards the 250s. And they're aiming now to reach the top level, which I think is 251, I think. Not 100% sure. Could be 250, not sure. But I think it's around there. I could be wrong though. But yeah. And they've gone off with the trainer guy. I don't think he gave his name. The guy who trained I've already forgotten his name. The guy who trained Zushi. There we go, Zushi. The guy who trained Zushi, or trains Zushi, I should say. They're going with him to learn about Ren and Nen. Now, something I forgot to mention in my discussion for the last episode is I wonder if Ren and Nen or whatever is like the energy of this world, you know, where it's like in Dragon Ball you have Ki, for example, where they can shoot Ki blasts and stuff. I wonder if Hunter x Hunter is this world's equivalent of Nen. I mean, I wonder if Nen and Ren is this world's equivalent of that, where it's kind of like the spiritual force that you can weaponize. Because when Zushi began trying to use it, he got this strange purple aura around him. But then again, I feel if it was... I feel like if it was that simple, if it was something as simple as that, and as fundamental to high-level combat as that, you know, I feel like Killua would already have at least heard about it. Even if he hadn't mastered it, I feel as though he would have at least heard about it if it was something that fundamental to the world, right? I don't know, maybe that doesn't make sense. Whatever, though. I'm currently on very limited time. Me and my family are very busy at the moment, and I've had very little time to record. It's been a few days. I recorded the last episode just now, but before then I had to go a few days without recording anything. I only have about half an hour left, so I'm just going to get into it and hopefully have enough time to do a proper discussion. So let's just get into it. Okay, man, that's... Oh boy, okay. This is my first time watching the episode, so my mind is going to be a little bit wonky in regards to figuring out how all this Nen stuff works. But I have time to really figure it out, so I'm not going to be perfect straight away, but I have time to kind of let it process in my brain and figure it out, so bear with me. Okay, so during the first half of the episode we got a false explanation. The false explanation was it was Ten, Zetsu, Ren, and Hatsu, right? And this is why I write down notes, so I can actually remember this stuff. So 10 was to focus your soul and your spirit, you know, to concentrate, to focus. And then Zetsu was like, to express it, he said in your mind or in your voice. So I guess in this case it would be like, focus your soul and then like give it direction, basically, by expressing what you want to do with that power. And then Ren would be to temper it, I guess, to like weaponize it or something, to make it into something that can be utilized. And then Hatsu was to act upon it, to actually use it, right? So it was like, concentrate the power, decide what you want to do with it, make it so that you can do something with it, and then do something with it, right? But that explanation was incorrect. The real Nen, and this is one that's probably going to take me a little bit to wrap my head around, so the reason he didn't teach them the real Nen is because anyone can use it and it can be extremely dangerous. So we have to be careful who we teach it to, right? We can't just go around teaching it to everybody because it could be very dangerous, right? Like in Hizuka's case, for example. He can clearly use it and it's very dangerous when he does, right? So let me see. So Nen is the ability to manipulate this life energy that you have, right? I guess you could call that a soul or whatever, right? It's the manipulation of life energy. And then he explained Ten, Zetsu, and Ren. He didn't explain Hatsu, though. I don't think he mentioned Hatsu in that last explanation. Unless that's not even a thing in the real Nen. I don't know. Again, this is my first time watching the episode, so it's not going to be perfect. I'm still trying to figure all this stuff out and process it. So 10 is to build up your life energy, to kind of to bring it out and create like an aura, basically, to release that power in like a manifestation of a shroud of an aura, right? And you can use that aura to make yourself stronger, to, you know, make your body hard so it doesn't take damage, and all that good stuff, right? So it can work as a defense from Nen, right? So you build up that aura and you use it to defend against other people's Nen. And then Zetsu is the opposite, it nullifies the aura. And that is used, according to him, for stealth and recovery, which makes sense. If someone has the ability to sense someone's Nen, then you're going to want to nullify that in order to be very... That reminds me, actually. In order to be very stealthy. That reminds me. Back in Phase 4 of the Hunter exam. Was it Phase 4? Yeah, it was Phase 4. Back during Phase 4 of the Hunter exam, Gon was able to successfully hide from Hizuka, right? If Hizuka is a powerful Nen user and can, like, sense other people's presence, then maybe Gon was unintentionally using Zetsu. Like, maybe his just natural talent allowed him to kind of hide his aura without even intending to, because he just has that natural talent. Because Hizuka did mention something like, oh, you've already learned to conceal your presence so quickly, or something like that. He mentioned the fact that Gon had learned to conceal his presence, and that makes me wonder if Gon back then was using Nen and didn't even realize it, you know? Because it is a life force that everyone has, so I could understand if someone uses it without even intending to, but just because they happen to go upon the right set of circumstances to use it, right? So that's something that's interesting. And then next he went on about Ren, which is creating a very strong aura. So that's what I believe that's what Hizuka did, right, in the hallway, where he just creates this extreme murderous aura that was so powerful that Killua and Gon couldn't even walk through it, right? I'm not entirely sure how this whole thing works. So I guess 10 is like for defense. Okay, so my guess would be 10 is for defense, so you build up like an aura around yourself to make yourself stronger. Then Ren is for offense, like you express this powerful aura that can affect other people. And then Zetsu is like for stealth, I guess. Again, we didn't hear about Hatsu. Maybe it doesn't actually exist, or maybe he just hasn't mentioned it yet, I don't know. As time progresses, I'll have time to process all this information. It's the kind of thing I definitely need to rewatch, reanalyze, look back over it again, and really kind of spend some time thinking about it. You know, it's not going to be something that's easy to immediately grasp. But yeah, Gon and Killua have made it to level 200 now, and they mentioned that once you reach level 200, you no longer fight for money, you fight for glory. I think that's interesting, because I was mentioning last episode about how you could just make it to the higher levels and make ridiculous amounts of money, no problem. But I guess the idea is they want to discourage that, maybe. You know, they want to discourage people who are just fighting for money, you know? Because you don't want someone who's desperate for money because they're poor going up to round 200 getting fucking killed by some guy, right? So I guess the idea is that, like, the money fighting only happens on the lower levels, so that if you actually get to the high levels, you really need to want it. Which does remind me... I'm not too much of a fan of the whole Killua has already made it to round 200 once and dropped out. If he does it again, his loyalty will be questioned, he'll be banned. I don't know, that seems kind of arbitrary to me, honestly. Like, really? Like, because he made it to round 200 and decided to go through with it, he gets banned? Like, I don't know, that... In my opinion, that just seems kind of arbitrary for the sake of conflict. Like, oh, if he doesn't make it in time, he could get banned from the tournament. You know, it's like, you know, like it seems kind of arbitrary to do that. Like, just for the sake of creating tension. That's my one complaint with this episode. Everything else was great. I really loved this episode. It was really interesting to watch. But if I had one complaint, it's that the whole Killua will be banned if he doesn't register does seem pretty arbitrary, like it's just for the sake of tension. It doesn't really make any sense that he'd be banned because he didn't register by midnight. Like, really? That seems... I don't know. I don't like that. That's weird. I don't like that. But everything else was a grace. I loved everything else. Oh man, I can handle... So Hizuka is here. Like, so much went on this episode. I almost forgot to mention Hizuka's here. So was that his aura then? At first, I thought when that aura appeared and Killua and Gon couldn't go down the hallway, I thought the idea was like, the people at this level are so powerful that even the receptionist is giving off like this ridiculous aura. But I guess that was actually Hizuka, right? I guess that was actually him the whole time. Maybe he was using Zetsu. Maybe he was hiding himself and that's why they didn't spot him until then or something, I don't know. But he's here. And it makes sense he'd be here, right? His whole thing seems to be he likes fighting powerful opponents, right? He enjoys... He's practically raising Gon and all them to become stronger so that he can fight them and kill them when they're worth killing. So it's clear he likes fighting really powerful people. That's his thing. He loves it. So it makes perfect sense that he'd be here, right? It makes perfect sense. But yeah, I guess Gon isn't gonna need to wait 6 months to punch Hisoka in the face. Because I feel like that's what this is going to build up to, right? I feel like this is going to build up to a fight between Gon and Hisoka. I feel like that's inevitable. Especially now that Gon is learning how to manipulate his Nen. I feel as though it's building up to a fight between them. And that will be very interesting to see. Ooh. And then he'll probably land that one punch. Maybe not though, maybe it'll subvert my expectations. We'll see, I guess. And that explains why Wing originally didn't want to teach them. But then when he found out they'd made it to round 200, he's like, well, I guess I have no choice now. Because he realizes that they could potentially die. Very easily they could die if they go this far without any knowledge of how Nen works. Which does make me wonder why Killua doesn't know about Nen. Because that's what I brought up last episode, which is that, like, it wouldn't make sense for Killua to not know about Nen because... I mean, look, he's a family of assassins, right? Like, he's been trained and his family clearly knows about Nen. If Nen is such a key concept to high-level combat to where you can't even, like, risk going to floor 200 this place without knowledge of how Nen works, it seems weird that Killua wouldn't know, at least know what Nen is. Not know how to use it? Sure, I can understand that. Maybe his family didn't feel the need to teach him it yet. I can understand him just not knowing how to use it. But to not even know what it is, that's weird. Maybe they'll give an explanation. It's entirely possible that they'll give an explanation. I'm not doubting that. I'm not saying it's like a plot hole or anything like that. It's entirely possible that they will give a reasonable explanation as to why Killua doesn't know about Nen yet. That is entirely possible. So I'm not trying to say it's like a negative for the show. I'm not trying to say that. It's entirely possible that he doesn't know for an actual in-world reason. But I'm just saying that even then, it is still... It's strange that he doesn't know. He doesn't even know that it exists, right? Like, he has no idea about it. So I wonder if there is a reason for that he hasn't been taught about Nen despite his role as a high-level combatant in this family of assassins, right? His brother knows what it is. His brother can use it, so it's clear the family doesn't know that it exists and they know how to use it. That's obvious. So, I wonder why it is that Killua doesn't know what Nen is. I'm very curious now to find out. Which is also interesting because Killua's technique, the shadow step, what's it called? I think where he like walks and creates the after images. If Killua doesn't know what Nen is, then that technique can't utilize Nen, right? That can't be a technique that uses Nen. In which case, there are lots of fighting techniques that don't use Nen at all. So Nen is something very specific. Damn, I'm saying Nen so many times it's going to lose all of its meaning. But yeah, I feel like now we're at floor 200, we're really going to... This is where things really ramp up. Before we've just been mowing through seas of faceless, nameless people in one punch each. But now they're at floor 200, this feels like the time where it's actually going to get difficult. Like now shit's getting real, now shit's getting serious. This is the point in which we actually start to need to worry about the outcomes of the fights. Especially since Gon and Killua only have 3.5 hours, 3 hours, 40 minutes to learn, and then they need to head back up and register quickly. So that's not much time at all. They could learn the basics of how to use it, I guess. So, interesting that Wing didn't allow Zushi to use his Ren. That's very interesting. So he must have used 10. Okay, so Ren is the final stage. You've got 10, which is defense, Zetsu, which is for stealth, and then Ren, which is for like offense, right? Killua was confused as to how Zushi was able to take so much punishment and keep going on. That must have been from him utilizing 10, I imagine. He was strengthening himself, strengthening his body, using this life energy. And that's what allowed him to get up after all of these hits, right? Just keep getting up, keep getting up, keep getting up. And Killua just didn't understand how he was doing it. But when he went to use Ren to kick it up a notch and become even more powerful, Wing was like, no, don't do that. He said that he needs to like strengthen his soul more, he's still too young. Or did he say, I think he said that about Killua and Gon maybe, I can't remember. He said something, but maybe it's dangerous to use Ren if you're not strong enough. Like, maybe if you are not mature enough and your life energy isn't powerful enough, then using Ren is really dangerous, maybe. I'm curious, I wonder why he wasn't allowed to use it. That would be my best guess. Because if he's only allowed to use it once he reaches the final stage, the final floor, then at that point he would have to be strong enough to have reached the final floor, in which case, in theory, he would be strong enough to use Ren safely. Which does beg the question of what their mission is here, what's waiting on the final floor. It's not Hisoka, right? I'm going to go ahead and assume it's not Hisoka, because that would seem... I mean, then again, it could be Hisoka, I guess, but I'm going to assume it's not. I'm going to assume it's not. But if Hisoka isn't at the top level, that does imply that there are people here who can beat Hisoka, and that's interesting to think about. That's very interesting to think about indeed. And as I was mentioning before about how it seems like now stuff's getting really serious, now people are allowed to use weapons, right? So it seems as though the possibility of death is now on the table. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if there was still a penalty for killing, like, oh, if you're killed, you're banned from the tournament, you know, that kind of thing. But it does seem as though now that weapons are allowed, the possibility of death is there, right? It is a possibility now. I wonder if this is going to be like a whole big arc now. Because before I was talking about how it's probably going to be just like a little mini arc, right? Like, it's just a little mini arc, a couple episodes, and then we go into the proper arc. But it seems like this could actually be a lot longer. Like, I could see a good few episodes, especially if this is like a Dragon Ball Z type thing where we're getting into the real big fights now, fights that could last multiple episodes. Then I could see this being like a decently lengthed arc. Like, legit, this could be a decently lengthed story arc. Especially if we focus on each individual fight, right, as they learn how to properly utilize their Nen and all that. Kon and Killua are also going to become a lot stronger than this. And if Killua was already strong enough to pass the Hunter exam, then when he takes it again next year with the ability to use Nen, it's going to be no problem. He's going to be easy victory for him, no doubt. No, I mentioned a few episodes ago, I wonder if you lose your hunter's license if you're allowed to take the exam again. I'm assuming not, because they stressed very heavily that if you become a hunter, you cannot take the exam again, and if you lose your hunting license, you've lost it, right? So I would say 95% chance that if you get rid of your hunter exam, you can't retake the hunter. If you get rid of your hunter card, you can't retake the exam. I would say 95% chance that's the case. But I do think there's a small possibility that maybe Gon will deliberately lose his hunter card so that he can go through the exam with Killua the second time or something like that, right? I could see that happening. There's a small possibility of that. It's a small possibility. I still think most likely if you lose your card, that's it, it's gone, there's no retaking the exam or anything like that. That's still probably the case, but I'm just saying, I'm keeping the other less likely but still possible possibilities in mind as well. Oh man. I feel like I would like to see people who specialize in the different areas of Nen. So I would like to see people who are really just like Kirishima from My Hero Academia, where they just boom, 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 like they can just bam, 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 just take these punches like nothing, right? Like just easy, right? And it doesn't even hurt them, like these defense 10 specialists. And then, stealth masters. Zen would be extremely useful for assassins, which is another reason why I find it weird that Killua hasn't been taught it yet, because you'd think learning how to use, Zetsu to nullify your aura would be perfect for an assassin, right? Being able to nullify your aura and hide. It seems like exactly the kind of thing you'd want to teach Killua. But he is only 12, so maybe they only teach them that stuff when they reach 16 or something, I don't know. I do hope we get an explanation for that as to why Killua doesn't know what Nen is. I hope we get an explanation for that. But yeah, I'd like to see people who specialize in the different areas of Nen, because so far it seems like a solid progression. You go from 10 to Zetsu to Ren, right? Defense, stealth, offense, right? It's like a progression. That's how it was kind of described. But I would like to see characters who can specialize in the different areas. And maybe they're not so good at Ren. Maybe they're not so good with the powerful, intimidating aura, but they've got ridiculous, defense where you could shoot them point blank with a shotgun and they wouldn't even put a dent in them. That kind of level of ability. But yeah, like I was saying earlier, it's probably going to take me time to fully grasp exactly how Nen works. Remember, guys, this is my first time watching. It's going to take me time to process everything. Uh, you're not gonna get everything immediately, right? It takes time to process information, but I'm sure that by the time I'm a few episodes down, I'll be fine with it. I'll understand. I'll get how it works. I assume. But man, this is shaping up to be a very entertaining arc. I like this. I wish so much I could move on to the next episode, but I can't. I'm already about to run out of time. I wish so much I could move on to the next one, but I can't. But yeah, this is shaping up to be a very interesting arc, especially now that Hizuka's here. I feel like the moment Hizuka was here, this went from a entertaining but nothing special arc to, oh, this is I want to see where this is going kind of arc, right? Because with Hizuka being here, a direct conflict between Hizuka and one of our characters is basically confirmed, right? I mean, it's not 100% confirmed, but the fact that he is here at all, rather than just some arbitrary strong character, right? The fact that he specifically is here, and the history he has with Gon, and Gon's goal to punch Hizuka in the face, right? That's his goal at the moment, right? It's basically inevitable that they're going to come into conflict. Are both of them? Are we going to get a fight with Hizuka versus Killua and then Hizuka versus Gon, or Hizuka versus Gon and then Hizuka versus Killua? Are we going to get conflict? Not or is it just going to be one of them? But Killua was right. This does seem like a great place to learn and become more powerful. I mean, yeah. I mean, especially when they come into contact with Wing, he's going to be, yeah. Imagine 6 months of training in a place like this, you are going to become really good. Were they planning to spend the whole 6 months here? Surely not. I can't imagine. I mean, I suppose that possibly they could, but that seems really dangerous. But if they've already been here a week, so I suppose it's not that crazy. I don't know. Maybe they were just planning to be here for a little bit. But yeah, I could keep rambling and talking about this for so long. I could keep going on and on and on about this, no problem, but like I said, I'm on limited time today, so as much as I would like to keep the discussion going, I can't. I'm out of time pretty much. So yeah. Like the video if you like, subscribe if you want to be notified when new episodes come out and all that good stuff. And share the video around if you want to help the channel grow. That's always really appreciated. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next episode, which I am very excited for. So, ta-ra.